Good evening and welcome to BATV News. I'm Andrew Lately. Chief Technical Director at the Financial Investigations Division, Robin Sykes, says cryptocurrency is an excellent tool for money laundering. That's why he's urging the government and business operators to exercise caution when investing in digital currencies. Mr. Sykes, who was a guest on BATV's On Point program, said the big problem with cryptocurrencies is that they're unregulated. Jason Muyong reports.
Cryptocurrencies aren't as popular in Jamaica as they are in other parts of the world, but it could only be a matter of time before that changes. However, some financial experts are wary of the trend and say Jamaicans should approach cryptocurrencies with caution. According to Chief Technical Director at the Financial Investigations Division FID, Robin Sykes, cryptocurrencies can easily be used to facilitate money laundering.
It's an excellent way of laundering, and of course there's a lot of hype around it and you know, the benefits of it, and you know, excellent way to invest, etc. And the good thing right now is that it really hasn't gotten the traction in Jamaica. Okay. And the regulators, I think, I expect, are closely monitoring.
Well, he says a big part of the problem with cryptocurrencies is that they are not regulated. And while the Bank of Jamaica has pledged to monitor the digital currency market, the FID head says there are greater concerns.
Well, there are some arguments as to, you know, the Bank of Jamaica Act, where I was some time ago, speaks to what is legal tender, you know, but in this digital world, right now, anything online is you know, untouched by the law. So it's an emerging area that I think a lot of people are watching, but I think we have some bigger fish to fry.
In the meantime, head of AML and financial crime investigations at Deutsche Bank, Dr. Stephen Strickland, says cryptocurrencies are only one of many unregulated avenues criminals can exploit to launder money.
So how are you dealing with it?
Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, I'd say you've got to take it in perspective of the scale of the threat it poses. It's only one medium that the criminals will use to launder money. But there's many, many other mediums, and mediums that aren't regulated as well. So whether you're talking about,
for example,
luxury vehicles, classic vehicles, you know, the price of those are constantly going up, but they're not regulated. Fine art, an awful lot of that, diamonds. There's many, many mediums that aren't subject to regulation.
For BATV News, I'm Jason Muyong.
Meanwhile, Acting Director in charge of the Legal Unit and Asset Management at the Financial Investigations Division, Alethea White, says although it isn't a common occurrence in Jamaica, terrorism does take place on the island.
Sometimes, since we're in Jamaica and in the Caribbean, we think that, you know, terrorism is something foreign that won't affect us, but the UK speakers that came really showed us the impact that terrorism can have, and it's not something that should be thinking as something far away that can't affect us. We actually have terrorists here in Jamaica, here in the Caribbean, and the provisions that we need to make to ensure that we are protected.
She says the framework to prevent terrorism financing in Jamaica needs to be strengthened.
But I think we need to tackle the terrorism system. I think we need to put sufficient procedures in place to identify and really guard against any kind of terrorist financing activities that might take place here. Even though actual attacks might not take place here, there are ways for terrorists to use our financial system to finance the acts.
Honeybun is reporting increased revenue in its annual report submitted to the Jamaica Stock Exchange. The company says it also has plans to launch new products this year. Kanil Gale reports.
Honeybun says the results for the financial year 2017 show a 5% increase in revenue to $1.251 billion, while pre-tax profit decreased by 32% to $105 million. The company says its capacity was exhausted in 2016 due to an unprecedented increase in sales. That is why Honeybun says it's looking forward to completing expansion plans, which are already fully underway, so it can increase capacity. This, Honeybun says, will facilitate increased production and new product development. The stabilization of the Jamaican dollar has also impacted the company's bottom line. Honeybun says in the previous year it has earned over $5 million more from gains in foreign exchange than the current year due to the appreciation of the Jamaican dollar. Meanwhile, the company says fuel and electricity costs increased during the 2017 financial year, going up by over 30%, while bank charges increased significantly, jumping by over 80%. In the meantime, Honeybun points out that for the financial period 2017, the 100% tax remission for the first 5 years after listing on the Jamaica Stock Exchange expired on June 2, 2016. The company was therefore subjected to income tax on 50% of its chargeable income for another 5 years. The company's balance sheet shows a cash increase of 41%, closing September 2017 at $102 million, up from $73 million. The balance sheet also shows an increase in non-current assets from $385 million to $467 million, while investments increased from $39 million to $78 million. Long-term liabilities increased from $7.8 million in the previous year to $30 million, while current liabilities were increased by $24 million. The company took out a $30 million loan in 2017 to facilitate its expansion project. During the year, over $87 million worth of capital was reinvested in the form of assets. Honeybun says these investments in equipment also form part of its strategy to continuously improve the quality of its products and reduce waste. Honeybun's net book value increased by 19%, closing at $598 million, up from $503 million in 2016. Honeybun says there are plans for 3 new products in 2018, with the first to be launched in the first quarter. The company says its strategy moving forward is to continuously build on its capacity, improve efficiency, and continue to invest in technology as the foundation for growth. For BATV News, I'm Kenil Gale.
Meanwhile, Jamaican Teas says it completed yet another successful financial year, which ended in September 2017. The company says at the end of the period, shareholders' equity passed the $1 billion mark. Jamaican Teas also submitted its annual report to the Jamaica Stock Exchange earlier this week. Leroy Hall reports.
Jamaican Teas says 2017 was a good year, which saw increased profits for the company. Profits rose 34% after tax, while overall, the group saw a 21% increase in revenues, moving from $1.3 billion to $1.5 billion. For the full year, audited net profit increased from $118 million to $196 million. Earnings per share after discontinued operations moved to 29 cents from 17 cents. Jamaican Teas says the improved profit results flowed from revenue growth of 15% from manufacturing operations, while supermarket sales increased by 10%. The company says its export thrust flourished in 2017, producing a 26% increase in tea exports, as those sales comfortably exceeded local tea sales by over 20%. Meanwhile, the company says the prospects for continued growth are encouraging, notwithstanding the disruptions in export markets such as the U.S. Virgin Islands, St. Martin, Dominica, the Bahamas, and Antigua and Barbuda. In the meantime, Jamaican Teas points out that the investment portfolio continues to perform well, yielding realized gains of $60 million for the year and unrealized gains of $45 million at the end of the financial year. In April 2017, the group completed the purchase of a 42% stake in KIW International Limited from the government of Jamaica. Its initial plan was to further develop KIW's warehouse complex on Spanish Town Road. However, the company says after further planning, it concluded that selling the building and reinvesting the proceeds elsewhere would produce better financial results. Meanwhile, the group says it recently signed a contract to buy premises in downtown Kingston suitable for rental to other small manufacturers. The company says it intends to purchase other buildings in the area for short-term rental income and long-term capital gains. So, as tea exports continue to grow strongly since the financial year ended September 2017, Jamaican Teas says sales are now running ahead of planned levels. The company says local tea sales have largely met projections, whereas supermarket sales have exceeded expectations so far. For BATV News, I'm Leroy Hall.
Still to come, Tax Administration Jamaica TAJ exceeds year-to-date collections target. The details after the break. Welcome back. Tax Administration Jamaica TAJ says preliminary figures indicate that it has again surpassed the year-to-date collections target for the 2017-2018 fiscal year for the period April to December. The Revenue Authority collected $207.7 billion, which represents 106.1% of the $195.7 billion target. This performance, the TAJ says, continues the positive trend recorded over the last 3 years, with the authority being on track to exceed the $283.4 billion annual target. Meanwhile, the Revenue Collection Agency says this positive outcome is a reality of the continuation of focused compliance strategies, which began last financial year. Compliance efforts included closer monitoring of arrears, which was facilitated through the implementation of the Revenue Administration Information System, RAISE, the mandating of medium taxpayers to file their returns online, and the application of a system-generated penalty of $5,000 per month per return for late filing. The TAJ says additionally the compliance activities have been bolstered by the passing of several pieces of legislation, namely access to third-party information and garnishment. Prime Minister Andrew Holness took representatives of the European delegation on a tour today of parts of the Denham Town community, which was declared a Zone of Special Operations, ZOSO. Jamila Maitland went with them.
Residents of the Denham Town community in West Kingston gathered to meet Prime Minister Andrew Holness during the walkthrough with members of the European delegation this afternoon. The walkthrough was to highlight the different social intervention programs within the community, some of which are funded by the EU. JSIF's Managing Director Omar Sweeney, who is also the co-chair of the ZOSO Social Intervention Committee, says he is pleased that community members are on board with the various intervention programs.
So what we're doing now is working with the security forces to kind of have this community security and safety program established here. And that's something that will come as an output in the months going forward for this community. Better relationships with the police, more trust, more interactions.
A female resident who spoke with BATV News off camera said she does not want the soldiers to leave, having heard rumors that ZOSO will remain until December 2018. She explained that the ZOSO is making a difference within the community and residents can go about as they please. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Andrew Holness refused to say when the zones of special operations will end in Denham Town, but he commended the JDF and the JCF for what he calls a job well done thus far.
For us, that the security forces could withdraw and go elsewhere is when we're certain that the people can be wardens of their own peace. So the police are here and the soldiers are here to create and maintain a peaceful environment, but at the same time to allow the various agencies of government to work with the citizens for them to build the capacity to maintain the peace.
In the meantime, Director General of the EU Commission, Stefano Manservisi, said he was happy that the EU can contribute to transforming lives within Denham Town.
Our contribution is friendship, our contribution is experience, the contribution is a bit of money. But this is your reward, this is the reward of the people here. We will be happy to keep working with you along this. It's a commitment to keep helping, to be present, if not always physically, even if maybe next time I'll come back.
For BATV News, I'm Jamila Maitland.
The Broadcasting Commission of Jamaica, BCJ, says it's investigating complaints from local television viewers about the quality of carriage of live high-demand events under exclusive licenses. These exclusive licenses mean that those programs cannot be shown on other channels, so the viewer depends entirely on the company that has the exclusive license. The BCJ says the most recent complaints were that the broadcast of a popular show started late and missed the beginning, was broken at the wrong times, and then rejoined after it had restarted. The BCJ says this happened because the company was trying to fit in other commitments. However, it caused a marked deterioration in the quality of the live show. The BCJ says because of this, it's considering various responses. One of them is the issuing of new guidelines to govern the quality of carriage of live high-demand events under exclusive licenses. The Commission says it will consult with the broadcasting industry before taking further action. Meanwhile, the Broadcasting Commission says it has received a number of complaints about some of the claims advertised by people offering astrological and palm reading services. Executive Director Cordell Green says the main concern was that some of the advertisements claimed or implied that they could solve financial, legal, health, and other problems. He says the Broadcasting Commission has therefore written to the General Legal Counsel, Medical Council of Jamaica, and the Financial Services Commission to obtain their opinion on whether these advertisements violate the laws that govern the medical and legal professions and financial services. Now, more opportunities for training in the business process outsourcing BPO sector are coming. The Heart Trust NTA and the Business Process Industry Association of Jamaica signed an MOU today to facilitate increased training. Siobhan Keys reports.
Jamaica's business process outsourcing BPO sector has grown rapidly in the last few years, which meant a huge demand for skilled workers. This is one of the reasons Heart Trust NTA and the Business Process Industry Association of Jamaica BPIAJ have partnered. Both entities signed a memorandum of understanding today, which sees Heart training persons to make them competent to work in the sector. Chairman of the Heart Trust NTA Board of Directors, Edward Gabadon, says even though Heart has been partnering with the BPO industry for almost 3 decades, this new partnership will help provide trainees with skills which go beyond the BPO sector.
One of the things that we expect to do from this is to create that base pyramid of from entry into the BPO sector, and for staff or for those trained persons to grow on the value chain to be anything they want to be in that sector. So the training that we're going to provide is not only for BPO, it is for training for business in general, and that's the base. And then when you go in, it will be specific. So this is just one of the means of getting things done. And signing this MOU is just formalizing and formulating a framework by how we operate.
Meanwhile, President of the BPIJ, Gloria Henry, says a considerable effort is being made to continue the growth of the sector while meeting the demand for workers.
We are on a growth path right now, not just to improve the existing businesses that are here, many of which are growing, but to fill the almost 2 million square feet of space that is being developed in Jamaica. The BPIAJ is very keen on this partnership because it will help us to create the kind of talent pool that we want to have to new investors that are coming into Jamaica.
In the meantime, Vice President of Sales and Promotions at Jampro, Claude Henry, says his agency is committed to meeting the target of creating 100,000 jobs in the sector as promised by the Prime Minister, and therefore having a competent workforce is critical.
In the area of education, it's about providing a cost-competitive workforce. And notice my choice of words, cost-competitive. It's not low cost, it's not cheapest, it's cost competitive, mean for a price you get great talent. All right, and then there is the competitive, the regulatory and incentive environment. So this move, by the way, helps on that front.
For BATV News, I'm Javon Keys.
Stay with us. Regional and international stories are next. Welcome back. It's time now for regional and international news. The government in the Bahamas has relaxed rules governing foreign exchange transactions. Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis says liberalizing the market is a good move. More in this report.
Bahamian-owned businesses will be allowed to maintain operating deposit accounts with up to $100,000 in foreign currency at domestic commercial banks without prior reference to the central bank.
Bahamians generally like to have their monies next to them so that they can see it, and their monies fall under their jurisdiction and legislative process, as opposed to American laws, European laws, etc. They feel much more comfortable having their monies here, and I think liberalizing and allowing them to have their money here where they can watch, feel, touch, etc. I think it's a good thing. And then, of course, you have a lot of students who go off. You do need certain income so that you can deal with your kids if they're off to school, etc.
Health authorities in Guyana are exploring ways to digitize the country's pension system to make collection easier for seniors. Here's more.
The Guyana government, through the Ministry of Social Protection, is working at a pace to reduce the logistical pressures that the old age pensioners have to endure on a monthly basis with regard to their pension collections. One such initiative is the doing away with the pension books and putting in place a system where the seniors can simply use their ID cards to collect their pension. Wentworth Tanner is the Director of Social Services. He said that there will need to be a formal relationship between the telecommunications sectors and his ministry.
We're currently working in collaboration with the Ministry of Public Telecommunications on the upgrading of the old age pension system into a more automated system from where it is currently where it is.
According to Tanner, the system will be innovative and interactive.
We are continuing to work to try to get it online as soon as possible.
The Senior Social Protection Officer also said that there are measures on the way to update the pension ledger in the ministry to make sure that only those who are eligible to be paid are paid.
As it pertains to taking persons who are deceased off of the register, we have several different agencies that we work in collaboration with. General Registrar's Office being our main source of information. We also work in collaboration with some of the parlors, because of course if you pass you must be buried. So we get the information from them, and we use that, the feedback that we get from them, to be able to cleanse the list.
The intention of the project is to digitize the pension outfit so as to improve the ministry's efficiency in their service distribution. For Channel 2 Headline News, I am Wendell Jeffrey.
Healthcare workers, teachers, and students have added their voices to anti-government protests in Togo, staging a nationwide strike. Theirs is the latest demonstration calling for an overhaul of Togo's political system. Al Jazeera's Mariana Hund reports.
It looks more like a street party than a protest, but behind the smiles are serious complaints. Hospitals without water, equipment or staff, teachers on pitiful wages, students burdened with crippling debt, and a president who refuses to give up a position in his family for more than 50 years.
We will not give up. We will not stop until he quits power.
For 5 months, protesters have been calling for an end to the political dynasty. Togo was the only country in West Africa that doesn't adhere to presidential term limits. That's kept the Nsingbe family in power for half a century. First Nsingbe Eyedema for 38 years, and then his son Faure Nsingbe, who took over in 2005 when his father died. President Faure pledged in late September to hold a constitutional referendum, but the proposal for a two-term presidency is not retroactive. That means Nsingbe could stand again, even twice, potentially keeping him in power until 2030.
We know
that Togolese are determined. They are not with us on the street just to have fun. This movement began because they know they must take a stand here.
A coalition of 14 opposition parties has been leading the mass demonstrations since August. Security forces violently suppressed some early gatherings. People have been killed and there have been arrests and detentions.
If their intention is to intimidate us so we stop telling people what's going on, well, they are wrong. We will not stop. Arresting our members will not give young people jobs or bring democracy and change. That is why we will not stop.
Few here have experienced life under anyone other than a Singbe or his father. Discontent like this and for so long is unprecedented in Togo. It's put the president under enormous pressure, but he's still showing little interest in vacating his seat. Miriam Hond, Al Jazeera.
Talking Stocks is after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Time now for Talking Stocks. 46 stocks traded today, of which 22 advanced, 17 declined, and 7 traded firm. The main JC index advanced by 282 points to close at 287,424. The junior index advanced by more than 39 points to close at 2,976. More than 5.8 million units traded, valued at almost $90 million on the Jamaican dollar market. And on the US dollar market, over 294,000 units traded, valued at over $62,500 US dollars. Cable and wireless, with over 1 million units changing hands, accounted for 20% of the market volume. JMMB Group was second with over 794,000 units. Wysinco Group accounted for more than 677,000 units, amounting to 11% of the market volume, crossing the floor. Mayberry Investment was a top advancer, up 75 cents to close at $5.80, followed by Seprod Group, up $3.35 to close at $34, and Epley Preference Shares up 45 cents to close at $5.45. The main decliners were Sterling Investments, down $1.90 to close at $11.10, followed by KLE Group, losing 27 cents to close at $2.20, and Jetcon Corporation, down 44 cents to close at $4.16. In foreign exchange trading, the Jamaican dollar lost ground on the US and the British pound today, but gained on the Canadian dollar. The US dollar gained 14 cents to the Jamaican dollar, ending the day at $125.75. The Canadian sold for $2.75 less, closing the day at $99.38, while the British pound went for $176.86, gaining $85 on the Jamaican dollar to the Jamaican dollar. Now, and that's the news, but before we go, a recap of our top story. Head of the Financial Investigations Division, Robin Sykes, says the government and local businesses should be careful how they enter the cryptocurrency market. Thanks for watching. For more content, please visit our website at batvja.com. I'm Andrew Laidley. Pleasant viewing.